Hello to all the White City Place occupiers. I'm so glad that you're with me today because I'm actually in another country right now. I'm in Croatia, and the reason I'm excited to share that with you is that I'm sitting on the end of a pier, and I'm hoping that the sounds are going to be part of the meditation. There are mixed sounds that we have. There's some voices. The sun is going down. It'll probably go down before we even start the meditation, actually. But also there's the lapping of the waves. Why am I doing that? Well, there's been an awful lot of study on meditation recently. And when I say recently, it's really only in the last, 40 years that it's really become quite a thing. And so the amount of information that's coming to us kind of monthly is quite huge now, which is really, really exciting. So it's always moving forward and we're always finding out more. But the one thing that really stands out for me and makes me feel pretty excited about sharing is that mindfulness, which is a part of meditation. People quite often ask, what's the difference between mindfulness and meditation? Well, mindfulness is a type of meditation where we are really mindful in the present. So it keeps you in the present moment. And I'll talk you through that because we're going to do one of those very mindful experiences today with this meditation. And mindfulness is so great for anxiety, but also as with anxiety, a monkey mind. So that's kind of calming the mind so that we can be clearer, but also less reactive. We want to be able to learn to respond to life rather than react to it. So it's taking the time to react in a way that is you've had a little bit more of a meditative response. So you it's not a knee-jerk response. It's something that you've thought about. You just hold yourself in a better way through your life when you can respond rather than react. It just takes a little bit of calming the mind on a regular basis. And there's an awful lot of mind-based stress reduction studies that have been done recently as well for exactly this whole thing, anxiety and a monkey mind. And it's one of those things which is coming to the forefront of meditation. And I think also one of probably the easiest types of meditation to learn. And why is it good? It's so good because it does keep you in this present moment. So when we are in the present moment, if you really think about it, we're not thinking about the future, we're not thinking about the past. So we are fully present. When we think about the future, we're generally worrying about something that may or may not happen. And if we're thinking about the past, we're usually thinking about something that we said that we weren't happy about, or you've got relationship issues, or something really bad happened at work, or there's money issues. I mean, it's always the past and the future as opposed to being really, really present. And of course, we can't stay in the present without thinking about the past or the future. But the more that we can tap into being in that present state of awareness helps us deal with the past and the future. And also thinking about your mind as a small child. You tell your mind what it needs to do. It's not the other way around with meditation, with everything actually. Your whole body works as one. Your brain works with your body works with your brain. I've mentioned it, I think, on previous sessions, but your heart actually sends more messages to your brain than your brain sends to your heart. And then you have the vagus nerve, which travels all the way down to your nervous system, all the way from your brain to your gut. And your gut sends messages back up the vagus nerve all the way to your brain. So your body and your mind is always communicating. And we've gone past the day where, we used to sort of think the mind was some kind of cut off, part of the top of our body, and the body was a separate thing. It's all one. And so it's really good to kind of realize that. So it's nice to bring in sensory experiences as well into our mindful practice. I'll do that with you today. Because then that brings your body, the physical body, into your meditation as well. Okay, so yeah, I'm excited to be doing this today. So the first thing I always say to anybody that's joining, just make sure that you're really, really comfortable in your seat. So that means that you can be sitting on the floor if that's easy enough for you, but make sure that you're somewhere comfortable for at least 20 minutes without having to kind of shuffle around. And if you have to shuffle, that's fine. You might sit in a chair, you might sit with your back against a bed or a sofa, whatever works for you, just so that you can relax your body, so that you can give your mind a little bit of a chance to relax as well. All right. And one last thing before we start, I always like to say your breath follows your mind and your mind follows your breath. So if you're breathing slower, your mind will start to slow down. If you're breathing quicker, then the mind will also become a little bit more monkey mind. This can be really useful. If we were going to a meeting or we had something that we had to be really kind of on top of, or we were feeling lethargic, then we could change the breath ratio to kind of give us more energy. So if you think about every in-breath as an energetic breath, you're breathing in oxygen, and every out-breath is a relaxed response. So that's really interesting just in itself. Your nervous system is always trying to be in balance. So every in-breath, energetic, every out-breath, relaxed response. Okay, and there are two very different ways to be, obviously, and it's important to know not only do you just breathing in oxygen, but you're breathing out carbon dioxide. So when you slow down your out breath, you're holding onto the carbon dioxide just a little bit longer, and that has a very calming effect on your mind. So if you have trouble sleeping, or you are feeling really, really anxious and you need to calm your mind before you start meditating, or before you have a meeting, or before you have any kind of communication that you have to deal with and you're feeling anxious about that, slow down your out breath. And you can do that by counting. So if I breathe in for 5, for example, then I would breathe out for 7 or 8. And I'm going to talk you through all of this, but I just wanted to point out the fact that you have the in-breath as an energetic flight or fight response, and your out-breath as the relaxed parasympathetic nervous system response, where you just slow everything down. All right. So we're going to do a series of things. We're going to do a little bit of relaxing the mind to start. So we're going to extend the exhale, remember? And then I'm going to take you through a little bit of coherent breath, where your in-breath and your out-breath is the same number that we choose. I usually choose 5 as a 5-second count, and I will count you in. You don't have to remember any of this. I will talk you through it all. And then we'll also do a bit of a body scan up front, and I'll take you on a little bit of a mindful journey. All right, good. So hopefully now I've been talking, you've kind of shuffled into a more comfortable seat and you're feeling good to go. So, closing your eyes. And I don't want you to think about meditating. I don't want you to think about anything really. Just notice any thoughts that come up, but also really noticing how your body feels right now. Now that might be whether it's uncomfortable, whether you need to shuffle a little bit in your seat, whether your shoulders are raised, whether they're relaxed, whether your jaw is relaxed. And then just notice your breath. So when we bring our attention to the breath, there's a tendency to breathe a certain way. I don't want you to actively breathe a certain way. I just want you to breathe the normal way. So however you were breathing when I was talking, just let that continue, but just notice it. That's the only difference between now and before. You probably weren't noticing your breath so much. You were probably just listening to what I was saying. And now you're aware of it. You might try to change it. Don't. See if you can just stand back from yourself, become a third party, And just notice your breath naturally, doing exactly what it needs to do right now. So how do we notice the breath? What do we look out for? Well, you can notice the speed, whether you are breathing quite quickly or whether you're breathing slowly or somewhere in the middle. You can also notice the texture. Now that might sound a bit strange, but sometimes your breath can be jaggedy. You're kind of breathing in steps and breathing out in steps, or it might be really, really smooth. So compare that to breathing in as if you're walking upstairs to breathing in as if you're just sliding up on an escalator. Your breath might be short, it might be long. And on a physical side, you may feel your chest or your belly or both expand on the in-breath and soften on the out-breath. So just really noticing what's going on, and it doesn't have to be anything at all, you're just noticing that. And now we're going to slow down the breath even more. So let's choose that count to 5. I will count you in so you don't have to start yet. But we're going to count in for 5 and we're going to hold it for 2 or 3. Let's just say 2. And then we'll breathe out for 7 or 8. Okay? So I want you to let go of all your breaths. So even if you think you've breathed out already, there's always more. Just push out the last bit of breath. And then inhaling. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it. 2. Now exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8. Breathing in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it. 2. Breathing out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more in your own time. Off you go. And when you finish that last one, just let it go. Don't try and breathe in any numbers. Just be really nice and relaxed. And take the focus to the back of your eyelids. Whatever comes up there behind your eyelids, just noticing. Might be colors coming and going. It could be shapes. It could be textures. It might just be one block color. A lot of that depends on how light your room is and whether you're facing a window. But it doesn't matter. Even if you're in the dark, quite often when you look at the back of your eyelids, you will get the odd color coming through. And I'm going to bring your attention to your body. I'm going to do a little body scan. And whenever I mention a part of your body, I want you to take your attention there. If you can soften it more, great. If not, it doesn't matter. I just want you to sense that part of your body that I mentioned. So, starting with your right heel, the heel of the right foot. The arch of the right foot, your right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, little toe, your right ankle, easing there, your right calf muscles, softening, your right shin, below your knee, above your knee, behind the knee, your right thigh, your right hip. Moving over to the left side, your left heel, the arch of your left foot, your left big toe, second toe, middle toe, fourth toe, little toe, your left ankle, easing there, your left calf muscle, your left shin, skin over your shin bone, your left knee, below the knee, above the knee, behind the knee, softening, your left thigh, your left hip, and then moving up the back to your shoulder blades, both sides. Your shoulders, just noticing if they're just soft and away from the ears, relaxed. Your right upper arm, your right elbow, your right wrist. Now if you don't have your palms facing up, sitting on your lap or wherever your hands may be, then just turn your hands up so the palms are facing up. And when I mention the digits, your fingers, I want you to bring your attention there, but try not to move the fingers. There's always a tendency when I mention a certain finger, you might try and move it. Just see if you get a sense of where it is in space. So relaxing your right wrist, palm facing up, your right thumb, your right index finger, middle finger, fourth finger, little finger, the palm of your hand, just noticing any sensations. You may get a little bit of tingling in your hands, or you might just feel the air above your hand, or there might feel like there's some pressure. Doesn't matter if there's none of those things. And then moving on to the left side, your left upper arm, your left elbow, your left wrist, your left thumb, index finger, middle finger, fourth finger, little pinky finger, the palm of your hand. Just pausing here to see any sensations in both hands as you take your focus there. And now moving to the back of your body, so starting at the sacrum, so right at the bottom of your spine, and just imagining trailing up each vertebra, up your spine, along the thoracic region, that part in the center where your chest is, right up towards the nape of your neck. And then starting at the base of your skull, mapping over the back of your head, over the scalp, to the crown of your head. Just pausing at the crown of your head. I want you to feel as though you would have a rope coming out the crown of your head and someone's just pulling on that rope just a little bit, just to kind of lengthen your neck. Let you sit up a little bit taller maybe. Doesn't matter if you don't. And tracing over the forehead, softening the space between your eyebrows, the eyelids, the eyes just falling into their sockets, heavy. Your jawline relaxed, letting go. Your tongue just sitting in the lower palate. Resting there. Now take your attention to your breath again. Just noticing how you're breathing without changing anything, and maybe taking your attention back to behind your eyelids. So in your mind's eye, I'm going to bring you to the beach where I am now. I'm actually sitting on a pier. So keeping your eyes closed, I want you to imagine that you're sitting on a concrete pier, and the concrete is really warmed from the sun. The sun has been on it all day, so you can feel it nice and warm under your seat. The sun has gone down, but it's warm. There's a very light breeze. You can feel that breeze on your skin. But moreover, you can hear the waves just lapping against the sides of where you're sitting. Everything has calmed down for the day. You can hear the odd voices in the background, different accents, another place. Listening out for the waves, gently just licking the concrete pier where you're sitting. And I want you to imagine that you're dangling your feet over the edge of the pier. And your toes are just sitting inside the water. You can feel the cool water on your feet. And because of how you're sitting, the water just comes up to just above your ankle bone. And you can feel it. You can feel the divide of the water and the air above it, as if it feels a bit like a bracelet around your ankle. So you're aware of the water underneath the ankle, and you're aware of the dry skin above. And you can really feel where the water stops on your ankle, both sides, both ankles. And as you look down into the very clear water below, you can see some of the fishes swimming. Some of them are white fish. Some are silver with little blue streaks along the top. Some of them are bigger fish, big silver fish. You can still see the little glints of silver on their scales as they swim underneath your feet. You can also see some of the boats around you are bobbing up and down in the water. You take your attention to the sound of the water again, lapping in and out. Then you decide to walk back along the pier, so you take your feet out of the water and you can feel the nice warm concrete under your feet. You keep your shoes off because you like the bare feet. So you walk along the pier until you get to the water's edge again. And you walk towards the shoreline. There's a few little tiny pebbles in the sand. So you walk along and you just stop and gaze out to the sea. You start to watch the waves, the same waves that were lapping the pier that you were sitting on before. And as you're standing there, you start to really focus on your breath. So you're standing at the water's edge. You start breathing in for a count of 5, starting now. Inhaling, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep going, breathing in. Keep that same 5-second breath in, 5-second breath out, knowing that you are keeping your nervous system balanced as you breathe in and you breathe out, keeping it going. And as you do that, you slowly walk a little bit closer to the water so that the water licks your toes just a little bit. Just standing there, but keep that breath going. In for 5 and out for 5. And then see if you can keep that breath going without actually counting. So you're breathing in. For about the same time, if you can remember kind of how long that was, you get a sense of the 5 seconds and out for the 5 seconds. See if you can do it. See if you can continue it, keeping them even without actually counting. And it's now that you can really notice the texture of your breath. Is it stepped because you've still got a subconscious count in your head, or can you make it more like an escalator and smooth ride up and down? Keeping that same breath going, and you're still standing by the shore. And now I want you to imagine that every in-breath, every 5 in, is a wave pulling back away from your feet into the ocean, gathering strength. And on the exhale, the wave breaking, coming in towards your toes. Keep that going, so you're breathing with the ebb and flow of the sea. Those waves can be as big or as small as you like. But I like it also if you can add in a pull. So when you're breathing in and the wave pulls back to gather strength, just feel that little pull of sand underneath your feet where you're standing, just pulling in a little bit. And on the exhale, the wave coming back. And your feet sink a little bit more. You kind of feel the sand moving under your feet as the in-breath takes that wave and the out-breath brings it back to shore. Keeping that same 5. If you get unsure about the length or whether you're doing the right kind of length, you can always add the numbers back in again. I mean, there's no rules here, just kind of make it work for you. Any thoughts that come into your mind, just come back to the counting. That's all you have to do. Bring yourself back there. And then you start to look down at your feet. And you can see that they are again totally submerged in the water. So you start to step back, away, walking backwards away from the sea, so you're still watching the waves. You can keep that 5 breath in and out if you like. You can feel the little pebbles and sand under your feet. And you walk back to the pier, a little bit of concrete jutting out into the sea. You walk back to where you were before, still barefoot. And then you sit back on the pier and you have sand on your feet. So you just brush the sand off. It feels rough against your skin, but it's quite nice in that kind of exfoliating way. And then once you've got all the sand off, you take your hand onto your foot and you can feel the soft skin. It feels like it's had some of the minerals in the water working on it already. It just feels nice and smooth where the sand has been and gone now. And then you lift up the other foot and do exactly the same thing. Brush the sand off. Feel the smooth skin of your heels and your toes. Feeling really soft around the ankles, smooth skin from being in the water. And then I want you just to take yourself back to your body, how it's feeling now, wherever you're sitting in real time. Just noticing if it's just relaxed a little bit more, if it's softened a bit. And you can let go of the 5 breath if you want to. If you want to continue it, then please feel free, obviously, but you can just have a very natural breath now if you like. But I want you to imagine that it's your heart that's breathing. So take your attention to your heart. And imagine every in-breath is the heart expanding. Every out-breath, the heart is just softening. Every in-breath, the heart is expanding. Every out-breath. So just keep that idea in your mind that your heart is doing all the work. And then I want you to take your attention to your skull. And I want you to imagine that the skull is being emptied. So it's just being lifted out. The skull is being lifted out, your brain, so that the whole space is empty. The skin that forms your head stays there, but it's just a vacuous space now. Everything has been removed out of that skull. Empty. Moving down, the neck empties. The chest. Carefully lift out the rib cage. Gently put that to the side. The form of your body stays there. And then all your internal organs, your intestines, your stomach, everything around your belly, below your rib cage, just removed, The muscles in your legs, the bones, everything just gone. Empty. Emptying out your arms. So your body is this whole vacuous space. Just the heart remains, continuing to beat, continuing to breathe, keeping you alive and relaxed. And I want you to take your attention now to the crown of your head. If you remember at the beginning, we were imagining that there was a rope at the crown of your head, and someone was tugging on that rope, just kind of pulling it a little bit to lengthen your spine. So we can get rid of the rope, and I want you to imagine that there is a very, very strong white light coming from above you, going right through the crown of your head and filling up the vacuous space that is your mind and body. Remember, you are all one, the two are not separate. So the white light's coming in from the crown of your head, filling up that space with light. Down your neck, flowing down your arms, right through to your fingertips, into your chest space, surrounding the beating, breathing heart, into your stomach that's not there anymore, just that whole area, your legs, right down into your toes, filling yourself up with that beautiful white light. And with that white light comes a really strong sense of peace. Nothing to be done, nothing to be undone. Just infinite space, infinite peace. Just breathing into that space. Now notice any body sensations that come up. You may take your attention to the palms of your hands again, if that worked for you before. Anywhere else. Or maybe you'll just be part of the white light that you've just brought into your body. And I want you to imagine that that white light is now expanding through the skin, the form of your body. So the white light now surrounds you as well as being inside of your body. And it starts to radiate out. And with that comes a sense of lightness. Peace. And to see if we can keep that sense of peace after we finish. I want you just to hold on to that feeling right now. Filling yourself up with that white light constantly. It never runs out, through the crown of your head, filling up your body, expanding into the space around you. But then start to bring in the sounds around your space as you do that. And then very gently you'll start to open your eyes. So do it very slowly. You're bringing the light back into your eyes. So I want you to go slow. Just gently bring yourself back into the outside world again. And even with your eyes open, you can still imagine that light coming through the crown of your head, because it becomes a sensory experience when you really feel it. Imagine it. You can imagine it coming through and filling up your body. And take that sense of lightness with you throughout your day if you can. And if you get stuck or it only lasts a few seconds, that's fine. You can always stop throughout your day at some point and just kind of bring that energy back in, just by imagining the crown of your head opening up and letting that light back in and just filling up your vacuous space. I shall wish you love and light with that, and I will see you next week when I am back in London. I hope you enjoyed that. Take care.